What if nuclear war begins not in some distant future but today? What if, within days, not just cities but forests, oceans, and even the air around us begin to change? Nuclear war does not stay limited to one place. Its effects move through the atmosphere, spread through water systems, and slowly reach every part of the Earth. This is not just about destruction in one region. This is about how a single event can disturb the natural systems that support life across the entire planet. War already affects nature in serious ways, even without nuclear weapons. In modern conflicts, attacks often hit cities and industrial areas where fuels, chemicals, and waste are stored. When these places are destroyed, harmful substances are released into the air, soil, and water. Smoke carrying toxic particles rises into the atmosphere, while heavier materials settle on the ground and mix with soil. Over time, this reduces soil quality and affects plant growth. Water systems also suffer during war. Treatment plants stop working, and untreated waste flows into rivers and lakes. This reduces water quality and makes it unsafe for both animals and humans. Oil is another major problem. When oil storage areas or pipelines are damaged, oil spreads into the environment. In water, it forms a layer that blocks oxygen, making it difficult for fish and other aquatic life to survive. On land, it damages soil and prevents plants from growing properly. Wildlife is forced to respond quickly to these changes. Animals depend on stable habitats, and when these habitats are destroyed or polluted, they must move to new areas. However, new environments may not have enough food or shelter, and many animals do not survive this shift. Even after a war ends, these environmental effects can continue for years. Polluted soil, damaged forests, and unsafe water can take decades to recover. When nuclear weapons are used, these effects increase on a much larger scale. A nuclear explosion releases a massive amount of energy in a very short time. The first impact is the blast, which destroys everything in its path. Trees are uprooted, land is flattened, and entire landscapes change within seconds. This is followed by intense heat, which is strong enough to ignite fires across large areas, even far from the center of the explosion. These fires quickly grow and begin to merge, forming large fire zones. In some cases, they develop into firestorms. A firestorm is a powerful system where rising hot air pulls in cooler air, bringing more oxygen to the fire and making it stronger. This process allows the fire to spread rapidly and continue burning for long periods. These large fires release huge amounts of smoke into the atmosphere. This smoke rises high into the upper layers of the atmosphere, where it can stay for a long time because there is little rain to remove it. As it spreads across the planet, it forms a layer that blocks sunlight. With less sunlight reaching the Earth's surface, temperatures begin to drop. This effect is known as nuclear winter. Nuclear winter affects both temperature and light. Plants depend on sunlight for photosynthesis, which is how they produce energy. When sunlight is reduced, plant growth slows down or stops. Crops are especially affected because they require stable conditions. In many regions, crop production decreases, and in some cases, crops may fail completely. This leads to food shortages that can affect countries far from the war zone. Because global food systems are connected, natural ecosystems also begin to break down under these conditions. Plants form the base of most ecosystems, so when plant growth is affected, animals are affected as well. Herbivores lose their main source of food, and as their numbers decline, carnivores that depend on them also suffer. This creates a chain reaction that spreads through the ecosystem. Forests may weaken or begin to die if they do not receive enough sunlight and stable temperatures. Grasslands may become less productive, affecting animals that rely on them for food. Wetlands may shrink or change due to shifts in water levels and temperature. Insects, especially pollinators like bees and butterflies, are also affected. A decline in pollinators reduces plant reproduction, which further weakens ecosystems. At the same time, radiation spreads through the environment. After a nuclear explosion, radioactive particles are released into the air. These particles travel with the wind and eventually settle on land and water, a process known as radioactive fallout. Fallout can spread far beyond the area of the explosion. When radioactive particles settle on soil, they make it unsafe. Plants growing in this soil absorb radioactive materials along with nutrients. Animals that eat these plants also absorb radiation, and this continues through the food chain. Water sources can also become contaminated as radioactive particles enter rivers, lakes, and underground water systems. Radiation affects living organisms at a deep level. High exposure can cause immediate death, while lower exposure can lead to long-term health problems. It can damage organs, weaken the immune system, and reduce the ability to survive and reproduce. Radiation can also damage DNA, causing mutations that may affect future generations. If a large number of individuals in a species are affected, their population may decline. In some cases, species may disappear from certain areas completely. Oceans are also affected by nuclear war. Radioactive particles can enter the ocean and spread through currents, reaching areas far from the original source. Marine ecosystems are very sensitive to changes. Small organisms like phytoplankton are especially important because they produce oxygen and form the base of the ocean food chain. Reduced sunlight affects phytoplankton growth. When their numbers decrease, it affects the entire food chain. Zooplankton, fish, and larger marine animals all depend on them. Fish populations may decline due to both reduced food and contamination. Larger species, such as whales, are also affected because they depend on stable ecosystems. Coastal ecosystems face additional risks. Coral reefs require stable temperature and water conditions. Sudden changes can lead to coral bleaching and death. Mangroves, which protect coastlines and support many species, can also be damaged by pollution and changes in water quality. The climate system becomes unstable as well. The smoke in the atmosphere blocks sunlight and cools the Earth's surface, while gases released from fires affect long-term climate patterns. This leads to unpredictable weather. Rainfall patterns may change, with some regions experiencing drought and others facing heavy rainfall. Seasonal cycles may shift, affecting both natural ecosystems and agriculture. Even after the smoke begins to clear, the damage continues. Radioactive materials can remain in the environment for many years. Some substances remain active for decades, continuing to affect soil and water. Land may remain unsafe for farming, and water may not be safe for use. Ecosystems may slowly begin to recover, but this process takes time. Some areas may recover partially, while others may change permanently. Some species may not survive these changes. The Earth's systems are deeply connected. Air currents move across continents. Ocean currents connect distant regions, and animals migrate between ecosystems. Because of this, the effects of nuclear war are not limited to one place. They can spread across the entire planet. Even regions far from the conflict can experience changes in temperature, food availability, and ecosystem stability. Human life is closely linked to these natural systems. We depend on clean air, clean water, and stable food sources. When these systems are disrupted, the effects are widespread. And that was the story of nuclear war's impact on nature. Not just a glimpse, but a journey through time from the very beginning to where we stand today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Nature's Diary for more amazing stories of our world. See you next time.